Okay, well, my next guest, who might be my last guest for a while, is a returning face, Krysta Heath. Krysta, welcome back. You've got something on your head.
I do. It's a
What
bit different
happened?
this time. Well, as you can see, I competed and I finally, after 6 years, won my first title in Australia. It was Supranational Australia, which is just crazy.
You need to back. Okay, so let's take you back to when you won. Did you black out?
Yeah, so it was so funny. All the girls, because obviously it's the top 10 and they do this bit of circle, and I got selected last for top 10, which was heart racing to begin with. And then I got into the middle spot just by chance, and the girls on the side of me, I couldn't even look. I was so nervous. I was the last one to be crowned, and the girls, they said that they were squeezing my hand and they were looking at me. They just knew that I was going to win, and I was not even looking. I was at the ground. I was so anxious, and then I got called out, and then the tears just started straight away. They were like waterfalls.
How bad was it?
Ooh, yeah, my mum. She took photos online and she put up all the ugly cry photos like good mums do,
Yeah.
and she just shared them everywhere. And
That's nice.
yeah, so it was good. I think I'd been waiting so long for that moment to actually hear it. It was super surreal and it was just hard to take in to begin with.
Yeah.
And then Janae's gone to put the crown in my hand. She's like, okay, are you ready? You've got to smile now. And I was like, okay.
I mean, obviously we've known each other, I don't know how long now. You said 6 years. Has it only been, I feel like it's even been more than that. But anyway, I mean, can you remember when your name got called out? Run us through the emotions, because I imagine there were different emotions, all of them probably very intense.
Yeah.
But I want you to give the girls watching at home, if they've been going for something and they've been doing it maybe 2 years, 3 years, I mean 6 years is a long time.
Yeah.
What emotions came first, and then what happened, obviously the tears, but
I think it all came at once. It was so overwhelming. It was, at first I didn't believe it was really my name. And then the girls were kind of grabbing me on the arms. And then I think I just kind of put my hand over my mouth, and that's just where it started, the tears. And I think it was one of those where you can't breathe moment. And yeah, it was probably not pretty, but I look back on it and I think it was just such a good moment, and everyone says that they can't stop tearing up when they see it. So I think it was a very emotional moment, but at the end, and I was kind of walking out, I was so grateful. It's been so long coming.
So what kept you going all this time?
Well, as you know, there were times where I really doubted if I was going to achieve this goal, and it was just I've always been a really big goal setter. I think it's the ADHD side of me. When someone tells me I can't do something, or when I want to achieve something, I go out of my way to achieve that goal. And this was a goal that I set back 6 years ago, and I kind of was just no, this can't be the one goal I don't achieve. I want this so much. And I think it was probably the last 2 years of competing, I was no, I want this. I want to go international. I want to represent Australia. I want this so bad, not just for having a crown, but just because I want to show people that with hard work and determination, they can achieve anything. And so that's when I started coaching. I started really critiquing and refining the things that I wanted people to know about me and what I wanted to show people. And obviously that's kind of led to where I am now.
So give the people watching an idea as to how you've changed over the 6 years, because you're 20, not to be rude, but you're 28 now, right? So when you started, you were 22. So that age, anyone would go through a big period of growth. You go from being, just barely out of university or high school. Mm-hmm. I know you own your own home now. So, I mean, it's there's a lot has happened in that 6 years. So give people an idea, how have you changed, grown and developed over those 6 years?
I think Cassie, who won Miss Grand in 2018, I think it was, or 19.
17 or 18,
Yeah. When I first competed that first year, one of the feedback I got from her was you're acting like a princess, not like a queen. And I had no idea what she meant by that comment. I thought it was so vague. I was what did she mean? You can't be a queen until you win. But reflecting now, you walk into it as if you won. You're showing people that you have what it takes to be the queen, the reigning queen. And I think that was the difference. I spent a lot of time sitting in that space where you know, I don't need to be that if they're going to like me and they're going to want me for me. And I think I disregarded a lot of the feedback because I thought I didn't need that. I thought, no, it's me. But then I realized that you can grow with yourself and refine who you are, and like not refine in a bad way, but like kind of really focus in on the things that you want and push it out, and it be in a way that people admire and get empowered by. And I think I worked really, really hard over the last year to really refine that and kind of show what I wanted people to know about me. And particularly in the lead up to MPA, which is the Miss Australia pageant, I really worked hard with Sophia to just refine what I wanted to show people about me and how I was going to show that, which is what came through with the self-love science. Like I'm still developing and everything, but that was just a big moment for me because I'd been working with Alicia, also coaching for like Miss Galaxy. And during that time, I really struggled to find what I wanted people to know about me.
Yeah.
And she was helping and guiding me. But yeah, definitely in the last couple of months, I think I just really found that.
Okay, so we need to back up a sec because in true ADHD style, you just drink out of a fire hose, and I can sympathise with you on that one because I've been diagnosed with ADHD as well. But back up to the self-love science, because I think you need to tell people what that is first off and where it came from. You gave a bit of a glimpse, but what is, when you mentioned the self-love science, what is that and how can people get involved with that?
Well, I'm very passionate about education and helping people like find places in their community to connect with and build who they are. And I love learning about all different things and sharing that knowledge with people. And I think as part of that journey, I had to really do research and kind of figure out different parts of things, like particularly with ADHD, you know, like when something, you come across a barrier, you have to work really, really hard to kind of find new ways to overcome that and also manage that. And lots of those challenges came up in like self-love and finding out who I was as a person and just being really confident with that person and not caring about what people said. So the self-love science came about that I wanted to empower people to love who they are, but through education. So it takes a bit of science, like trial and error, you know, doing that research and experimenting. Does that work? Does it not work? And so that was kind of the pull together of the self-love science.
So where would you say you are at in that journey? Because that journey, I don't think it ever ends either. I think you're always working towards it. But where are you sort of on that journey now?
I think I'm really content with who I am. I love the life that I built for myself. I acknowledge that having ADHD was incredibly hard growing up. Like there was lots of challenges. People push you down. They tell you can't do things. And I think, you know, going and getting a degree, going and getting a high-paying job, that's a really challenging job, and still being able to function and do that well, you know, that's something that I worked really hard, and it took a lot of research to figure out what's going to work for me in that space. And then just being okay with who I am as a person. I think there's always things that you can look at yourself in the mirror and be like, oh, I'm really not feeling that today. But it's more about just being, this is who I am, and there's only one of me. Like no one else is me, so why not be proud of that person? And so that's kind of how it evolved. But yeah, it definitely continues to change, and there's always moments where you have doubt, but I think it's just about continuing on with that journey and doing that research and finding new ways that work for you to love yourself or to be confident in yourself. I think that's, the point of the self-love science.
Can I ask you about the ADHD? Because I'm fascinated by this now that I know that, you know, I've been diagnosed with it. So now people always go, oh, I always knew, I don't know if this happened to you. I don't know when you were diagnosed. We can go into that later. But it was like, when I told people that I'd been diagnosed with it, everyone, I don't know how it was for you, but everyone was like, oh, yeah, of course you had it. It's so obvious. Like, well, no, you could have told me, right? But for you in pageantry and all the hard work, I know the gymnastics background.
Yeah.
What were some of the, let's go through some of the challenges having ADHD. Let's say in pageantry, what are some of the challenges? And I'm also curious, were there any benefits? Because like hyperfocus for me, that helped me get that book out, you know, that book, the public, I did that in 2 weeks. That's 2,000 pages.
Yeah, that was a lot.
Yeah, in 2 weeks. And everyone's like, how'd you do that? Well, it was hyperfocus.
Yeah.
But what are some of the struggles that you've had with the ADHD, but also maybe some of the benefits?
Yeah, I guess the struggles is like when you're labelled with something, and this is actually the first time I'm talking about it openly. Like up to this, like no one publicly or anyone outside of family and friends know that I have this diagnosis. But I think one of the challenges is like I speak very fast. So with pageantry, when you do interviews, I really had to bring that down. And that was one of the most critiques I got. And also I waffle, like you've pointed out. So obviously when it comes to interview, you really got to be concise because you've got a short period of time to impress them with who you are and what you want to say. So that was really challenging. And I actually had to jump in kind of like this different persona when I do interviews. It's like this presenter persona so that I would slow down. And I think that that was a really good thing because working in child protection, I interview people every day, and that was a really good skill to then be able to bring in to my job. And I think that's helped me a lot. So it was about really doing lots of practice, like doing lots of like coaching sessions around interview and just learning how to be concise and condense with the topics. So that's a challenge.
Any benefits?
I think the benefits is like you said about that hyperfixation.
Yeah.
If you want to achieve something and you're like, I guess if you're sick of that critique.
6 years later.
You eventually get there.
Yeah.
Like I'm not saying it's easy. And that's the same with like study. Like obviously the hyperfixation is really good when you're interested, but if you lose interest, that can be really hard for motivation and getting things done. Also, our brains run like 1,000,000 miles an hour, and that is the same when we read or do documents. So we think that we've put words down or things have said that are not even there. So sometimes grammatically, like in documents, that can be really tricky. And like I found ways to manage that. Like I have like the Office 365 and it has the editor on it.
Yeah.
And I actually listen to the document and I hear the errors. And so that's how, like in my job, because I do a lot of documents, I even do a lot of court documents, that's how I've managed to kind of solve that problem. So I think a lot of research, a lot of like learning about ways that I could change that and then tried it. If it didn't work, I'll try a different approach. Same in pageantry.
Have you found that burnout is a problem?
Oh, yeah.
Because I mean, like my brain, like I don't speak nearly as quickly as you do, but it's not because my brain's not working overtime, it's because I'm filtering out all the 100 billion things that I could say and 100 billion things that have crossed my mind, like which one do I actually want to say? But I will often get home at night, I don't know if you've ever done this, and maybe from the outside you haven't done much, but I'm just emotionally wrecked, for want of a better word, because of this thing has just been going on and on and on. Has that been an issue for yourself?
Yeah, massively. Particularly in this job, like in child protection, where I'm consistently thinking about risks or things that are happening for children at home. Like that's really hard to switch off, and I really had to learn how to do that. Like when I leave the door at work, like I'm done for the day. But there are some days where I'm like, I can't stop thinking, and it's a bit of a weird strategy, but I just lie on the ground and I put a heater in front of me, even if it's the middle of summer, which is weird. But that, for some reason, just calms me down, and I can just sit there and kind of like tune out for a bit. And so that's like a strategy that I put in place. I think it's kind of like meditation, like I guess, but just I guess a way that works for me. But
how did you come up with the idea of a heater?
I don't know. I'm a cold frog, and I liked the heater.
It wasn't on TikTok, was it? Krysta, those of you watching at home, you might have seen this by now. Krysta made me do a TikTok. I didn't get any choice. It wasn't a TikTok thing, was
it? It's so great. No. This is something that I put in long ago. I started with really hot baths and showers. So like I turned the temperature right up, and I would just like lie in the bath for a while, and that just started making me feel really good. I think because it relaxes the body and the muscles.
Yeah.
And then I unfortunately moved into a house where I don't have a bath, and so like the floor heater was kind of the next best thing. I could put it next to me, like on my legs and my body, just feeling the warmth. I don't know. It just instantly relaxes me, but some people find it so weird because they can't handle hot showers. But
no, it's really weird that you say that, because hot showers are the one place where I feel like I can turn my brain off.
Yeah.
And it needs to be hot.
Yeah.
Like it can't be, I hate lukewarm showers and cold showers or something else completely. Yeah. But the really hot water, it does something to my brain, and I can actually think, but not in a manic way.
Correct. And like some people like do like the cold baths, with the ice. Yeah. And I cringe because I cannot handle the cold. I cannot think properly when I'm cold. But hot, yeah, great.
It's so weird. I wonder why that happened, because I've always really enjoyed really hot showers. And then as I've spoken to more people with ADHD, it's funny because they come up with all sorts of... That's one of the things with ADHD, like you need to come up with your own strategies. Correct. Most people don't really understand what it is because they don't have it.
Yeah.
But I never heard that. I never realized until now But how... Because you said that you've clued people into what you work in, which is a child protection area. That is an area where you said you have to think about a lot of different risk factors.
Yep.
And so that would lead to your brain also going hyper over time.
Correct.
But how do you actually switch your brain off? You said because for me, it would be extraordinarily difficult, I'm sure it was for you, but when it's so emotional as well, because you're dealing with children.
Yeah, and I know. And it's really hard because some of the risks that we sit with in the department, I don't think a lot of people appreciate how the things that we see and we have to deal with on a daily basis. And I think it's a very misunderstood industry, and I'm glad they are kind of doing the reform at the moment to shine a light on some of the things that caseworkers do kind of like work with vulnerable families. But I think it's just knowing around like you take into account like what you're doing in the job and what you're doing to provide support and who's around them, who's in the community helping them. And sometimes that alleviates some of that worry that you have because you always know that there's people watching. But I think one of the things I've really had to push back is like the circle of control, like what's in your control and what's outside of your control. And I just think what's going to happen in that space is completely outside of my control. Like I can provide advice and I can offer support, but it's their choice. So it's their choice at the end of the day what they do. And so I just have to sit with that whatever happens in that space is actually not on me. That's on the people that choose to make those choices. Yeah. And so sometimes that helps, but you know, there's some days.
Not always, right?
No, not always.
Because it's tough when you know probably what someone should do, and especially when there's a child involved and they don't do it, and then the child suffers. That's not an easy thing.
Yeah, and that is hard. But I think I guess like things that people don't know about behind the scenes in the department is there's shared risk. So lots of people sit in on those decision makings, and you know you're always consulting with people and you're always working with experts in the field. So I think it's just really coming back to working with the right services and making sure the family has that right support. And it's also like it's weird, but even though some of these parents choose to make not good choices and that impacts on their children, I appreciate and understand how they got to that position. Yeah. And so like you can also not empathise with their choices but empathise with how we got here. Yeah. And so I think that also helps like knowing their story and then being able to support them to overcome some of those barriers to make sustainable change. But it's still a hard space, but I think you got to be the right person for that job.
Yeah. Let's talk about pageants. Just for a second, because you do have a rather large headpiece on your head.
I do.
It's a beautiful headpiece. How comfortable is it?
Like it's great I love it. I think like I love it.
After 6 years, I hope you love it. But I mean, how comfortable? Because it's so big.
It's actually quite comfortable. I think after a couple of hours, like it like weighs a little bit here, but it's totally worth it. And I will.
You're not going to complain about it now, are you, after working about it for
not
6
at
years?
all. Like, I mean, this is the show of my hard work, and so I'm super proud of it.
Have you ever worn it out in the street or something?
So, it was actually a bit of I don't know. I guess people that I interview with would know this, but I've always said that the first place I would wear my sash and crown to is my workplace. Yeah. Yeah, because obviously they've been so supportive of me for the past 4 years and allowing me to take leave, but also the community at work, they thrive over it. So they are very into it. And I waited for the work meeting to go in and then I just walked in. I'm like, sorry, I'm late. And I just walked in with my sash and crown on. It was like glorious.
Did you pageant walk in? Did you make a TikTok out of it?
I didn't make a TikTok out of it. Obviously, it's work meeting and that's protected. But but they did put it in the newsletter. So.
So, again, going back to the ADHD, you win this thing after 6 years. Yep. And I got to imagine that if I've been working for something for 6 years, finally get it, and now I get the opportunity to represent my country overseas, brain goes, all the things that I can do, all the things that I want to do. So give people an idea as to what's happened since you were crowned. What are we planning? What are you hoping to achieve overseas? Supranational in Poland?
Yes, in Poland, which is
not warm, by the way, just so you know.
Yeah, I know, but it's fine. It's fine. I'll smile through it all. I'm just going to love it. My family were really, really excited because we actually have Polish heritage. So my grandparents were like super excited. That was the first time I learned that I had Polish heritage. But apparently it's actually really quite strong according to my grandparents. I knew that we had other kind of heritage in like Ireland and English and that sort of stuff. But yeah, so that's exciting. So it would be good to kind of connect with, I guess, places that hold a lot of like love and, you know, with my family. But they're all like, we're coming with you. So my whole family are like planning to come over and then we're going to travel. So a lot of it's been around like who's going to come. Obviously, like some people know, but I have a foster child. And so it was about like working with the department about how we're going to get him to come as well. Like who's going to watch him, how we're going to get passports. So a lot of that was in the back work. But then it was also like, oh my gosh, now I've got to think about like what my national theme costume is going to look like, what dresses, which designers, who I'm going to reach out to for like sponsorship, who wants to be a part of that sponsorship, working a lot with the directors about like what we're going to put into play. I really want to make like the reign quite meaningful. There's other queens like Emily Egan. She always inspired me with all of the things that she did, as well as Alicia. Like they had such beautiful reigns and I really want that for me. I want people to remember like what I did during that time and then be inspired to do that as well. So yeah, I guess there's lots of planning in the back work, particularly this podcast was one of them. I think I reached out to you straight up. I was like, can we talk? Like, I think that would be great. Full round circle.
It has. Yeah, it's certainly been a journey. And I mean, look, I was going to ask this. You reminded me because you mentioned a couple of names there. So Emily Egan, who was Miss Galaxy Australia 2019?
Yeah.
I don't know. And then Alicia, I think she was in 2017. It's so far back now. I can't remember. And then Alicia also competed so many times. Emily has started up her own pageant system. You mentioned Cass. She's now got a child who's, I think, a year old, gotten married.
Yeah.
Everyone has sort of come along so far. Walk me through, and you may not remember everyone, but this pageant journey of yours that's been going on for 6 years.
Yeah.
Who have been the sort of the biggest influences on you throughout that time?
Well, that's tricky. I don't think I could name one person. I think
name all of them.
Well, when you've been in this system for 6 years, you get to know like lots of queens or lots of people as national finalists in all systems. MPA was definitely a special system for me. I did it when I first began, and I always admired what this system meant and what it brought to the table. And I always felt like I wanted to be ready to go back to it. Like I wanted that to be like a really good moment. And, Galaxy was a good system as well. And their sister, they've got lots of connection between the two pageant systems. And that was a good place to kind of find myself. But I think it's just everyone that helped me along the way. But, particularly like Emily, I've also got my pageant bestie. Can you guess who I'm talking about?
No, I remember you sending me all kinds of weird videos. You sent me a video. I thought it was with Emily. So, no. Who?
Come on. We're also reigning this year together.
Well, what, Nicole?
No.
She's
reigning in a different system.
Hannah?
No.
Annalise?
Yes.
Anytime I think of Annalise, all I think of is chicken salt. Has she had this discussion with you, chicken salt?
I
don't know how that girl's alive, by the way. Have you seen what she eats?
She's a great eater.
All she eats is chips with chicken salt.
Don't pick on my girl. I think just like being in the systems with really good and empowering girls and then watching lots of them win, that was like super inspiring because I also know how hard they worked. But yeah, definitely to be able to like follow the journey with them and then us all kind of come to that moment where we got to like represent Australia. That's really nice for me. I actually have this photo that I took back in 2018 and every girl in that photo has won a title and I was the last girl standing, and I'll have to post it after this, like at the time, so people know what I'm talking about. But I think that was a special moment too because it was like this like full round circle that everyone in that photo, like Mel, she's also been someone that I've competed with. She was my roomie. So it's super beautiful that she's kind of like won in the system the year before me and she's going to represent Australia in the Miss Intercontinental this year. And so it was nice that like we had that moment, that full round circle where she also got to be a part of my crowning. And so that was, super nice. But I think the directors, the work that they do with you, and also if you coach with them, they're very supportive and they really help you. They really want you to do well. And I think that's also really kind. Like, they don't have to. Like, they could just be like, fend for yourself. But, you know, I think everyone that you come across just wants you to do your best. And I really love that. So, like I said, I don't think there's really one person I could specifically name. But overall, there's just been many people that have contributed to where I am today.
So if I fast forward, you let's say a year from now, or you've competed in Poland and done super, super well, because you already mentioned that you wanted to have a meaningful reign. What are some of the things that you want to achieve during your next, let's call it 12 months?
Ooh, well, obviously go international, so that's the top list. But I think I really want to build up the self-love science. I really want to focus in on that and really work about how I'm going to push that out and what I want that to include. Like I've started it, and like I just really want to do that justice. So I think a lot of things like doing podcasts or doing interviews, I really want to try and get into the media a bit more to kind of like share like this journey. I think it's something that every girl should do. Like I think it's very empowering and the sisterhood is very strong. And I don't think people think that often when you think of pageantry. Yeah. I think they've got that miscongeniality kind of like vision in their head of like the cattiness and the fighting. But yeah, that would be a big key. I think if I could leave inspiring others to want to compete and also want to do well with who they are as a person and be proud of that, I think that would just be, top.
And if I take you from now and we go back to the first time I saw you, back in that hotel, that first interview, what would you tell that young girl who was just at the beginning of the journey? That, like, what have you learned now? What if we took you back then? What would you tell that younger version of yourself? 7 years ago.
Like start coaching early. Like just take that feedback, take the critiques. They're not doing it to be unkind to you. Like just really take that on. But really, I think it's all a journey. You could say things to my younger self about like what you should do, and I don't think my younger self probably would have listened to that. So I think it's just be kind on yourself. Like it's tough. Like pageantry it's a tough competition because we are a small community. Like everyone kind of knows each other. So be kind on yourself if you don't achieve the goals that you want to achieve, and just keep working for it. Like just be happy with who you are. I think that's something everyone should be, and that's a really hard thing to do. Yeah.
I think it's a good point you make that even if you went back and spoke to your younger self, she might not actually listen to you. I guess it's part of the journey that you have to go through.
Yeah, so, definitely.
Well, we got there at the end.
Yeah, I know.
6 years later.
But, like I almost didn't get there. Like I put it up in the post that I shared about winning, but like it took a lot of convincing to come back after like not doing well earlier in the year. Like when I mean not doing well, like not placing or even like achieving a goal that I set.
You want to see yourself improving, right? Regardless of whether we say you win or not. In pageantry, it's tough, but you don't want to feel like the worst thing I think is feeling like you work really hard and then you place worse or you don't place. No one thinks that's a good thing.
And that was me. Like I the year before I placed top 5 and then I didn't place earlier in the year. I didn't even like get like a sash for anything. And that was hard. I was like, okay, maybe this isn't a goal I'm going to achieve and I just have to be content with what I've done so far to get here. And I was just really gutted. Like I said, you work really hard, and I think particularly as ADHs, we feel that a lot more intensely than.
Well, you don't want to like give up on something when you got the ADHD.
You feel like you failed, and there's a lot of just emotions that come with it all, and I think we feel it a lot harder because ADHD comes with that inability to emotionally regulate well, and so like that's. When you hit a low, sometimes that can be really hard to kind of push back from. But I think, like I said, the supportive people around me, they're the ones that, particularly like Alicia, she convinced me. Like, my sponsors were willing to pay for me. They're like, just go and do it. Like, you're in already. And I'm like, oh, I don't know. And everyone was just like, just do it. Let's just do it one more time. And then coming into that time, I was like, okay, well, this is what I have to offer. This is me. I'm just going to be confident with who I am. And I did the coaching to refine the things that I wanted to, that I felt like maybe I might have been lacking in a little bit. And then, I went into it and everyone just said, oh, from the minute you walked in, we knew you were going to win. Which is like...
They like saying that, but it's like, did you really? No, but in hindsight.
But like literally, like it was a different vibe. I'd never had that before. And I tried not to focus on it. I even said, I think Alicia came up to check on me and she was like, how are you going? And I'm like, yeah, I feel really good. Like, I just feel good. Like, I'm not like kind of engaging in anything. If people give, like, I'll talk to people and stuff, but I'm trying to really just focus on me and what I want to bring to the table. Yeah. And I think a lot of other queens have said the same thing, that year they just kind of focused and they had the same thing. People were like, we just knew. I think there's a presence that come with it, which is all about that moment, when it's right for you. So, yeah, I was just giving it my all. I guess
well, I bet you're glad you didn't give up now.
No, and I'm so grateful. And Sophia and Charlotte have just been beautiful. They're the directors of MPA, for anyone that doesn't know, and they are just the kindest souls. They were so supportive in coaching, but also like throughout pageant week. Obviously, like there's that distance that they have to have throughout the pageant.
Yeah. You don't want to show favoritism as a director.
Correct, and they don't. But they, after it, they were like, we were just so proud of you. Like we just saw a different side of you, and that was just really nice. Also, Mel's mum was like my page mum the whole time, and she was doing all the behind the scenes for me, and it was just a different experience, to be honest. Yeah.
Right. Well, we will go towards the final 10 questions in a bit. It'll be your third time for, I don't even remember. I don't even remember any of your answers to it.
Yeah.
But before we get there,
yeah,
because we're obviously in an in-person studio, which is kind of cool today.
Yeah, so cool. So fancy.
We have Sam over here who has been diligently trying to take some footage of you.
The behind the scenes, definitely.
Yeah, no, he's not mic'd up, so we can't hear him. He's busy trying to be extremely quiet. But I think, Sam, do you have any questions for Krysta? Since you're here, you're a complete outsider. You've never never any experience with this. Do you have any questions for Krysta?
I can come with something. What's a big like misconception from like the general public to like how people that do pageantry, how to like someone like me that doesn't know a ton about it, what would be like a misconception, I guess, about the process and the people involved with it, what the reality is?
So just in case the mics didn't pick it up, so Sam just asked, what's a big misconception? Remember, obviously here in Australia as well, pageantry is tiny. It's not like the States like or something, or Venezuela or Philippines.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you can remember that, but what are some of the big misconceptions that people have about pageantry?
I think some of the misconceptions are that it's quite catty, like everyone's like out for each other and they're not kind. I think another misconception is about beauty, about your body shape, about how you look, which that doesn't come into play. When you're actually doing the walks, it's about like, how do you own that walk? Like, how do you style yourself? Does it all match? Do you hold yourself well? Can you walk with presence if you trip? Do you cover it well? Do you recover well? So it's all about your presence and what you bring to the table. It's not actually about like the body type, which a lot of people think that is. They also have like lots of things behind the scenes. So when you go on stage, there's actually like most of the time there's only 2 elements that are actually, sometimes 3, like if there's an interview that is marked on stage. All the other marking takes place before it. There's social media that takes a big point. Your character, who you are as a person. They've got like charity, how you engage with your community, how do you promote yourself. They also do like photogenic, which is just like, getting in with studios and seeing how you hold yourself and how you look, like as in like how you look in photos, how you present yourself, not necessarily like, do you have a nice face?
Yeah.
So I just think that people just think it's really like, it's about a walk and about their body and about beauty. That's probably the most misconception.
There you go. So just also so that Sam knows, there are actually male pageants as well. So Sam, if you want to, if you want to enter, then
even bigger misconception.
They have Mr.
I can get a crown.
They have Mr. Supranational. So get on that.
There you go. So if you see Sam up on stage representing Australia, this is where it all began. Before we get to the final 10, now that you've got the hardware on your head, is there anyone that you'd like to give a shout out to?
Probably my parents. I think that's like one of the common things that's said. But honestly, they've just been there since the start. My mom, and my dad, they're both like my biggest supporters. But my mom, like the minute she like found out I won, she said, we woke up the whole neighborhood, like we were screaming. She's like, I'm coming, I'm taking. And my mom, her time is precious. She works really hard. And she was like, I'm taking that. I'm going to be there with you the whole time. And she did that last time.
Yeah.
And so they're willing to drop everything to help you. My mum sends me like 50 videos a day about like inspirations and like, thoughts that she had. So I appreciate everything. And they were the biggest supporters growing up. Like they always told me I could do anything. So that's something that I've carried with me. And even when I doubt, they're always like, nope, you can do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Biggest cheerleaders.
Yeah.
Do they own a cafe?
Yeah.
How's the cafe going, by the way?
Good. Yeah. It's always been my mum's passion since she was little. Actually, she got really into cooking when I got really unwell when I came back from Africa because my levels were all over the spot. So she was working really hard to make me food that had all the things that I needed in it. And she's doing really good. Everyone loves her food. She actually posted one of the videos from like when they were announcing it on the Miss Australia pages, and I think it was like me in the blue dress with the crown and the video. My mum shared it on her cafe, and then she's so well known that every community page then picked it up and shared it out. It got like over 12,000 K views within like a couple of hours.
So you're famous now.
Oh no.
Celebrity.
Yeah, but I just mean, that's the sort of, who they are. But she does really well at the cafe.
You have to go into the cafe with your crown on. You have to do an appearance.
Of course, yeah. Especially now that I'm jumping on as a sponsor, so that's super exciting.
Perfect.
Yeah.
What's the best thing to have if I was to go there?
Mum makes like hearty food meals, like the roasts and like all those good stuff. So I love the silver side, like
nice.
Like she makes it from like obviously when you buy it, so she cooks it fresh and it's just chefs.
No,
yeah.
You're making me hungry.
Cafe with a twist. So
okay, there you go. There you go. All right, I'll have to go pay a visit. All right, let's go through these final 10.
Yes.
Number 1, what is your favourite word?
I don't know if I have a favourite word. That's a really hard one. Oh, I've already been put on the spot. No, I can't think of one.
Well, what about what's your least favourite word?
No.
I love it when people answer that one because they always have that same look on their face. They don't like being told no.
I think it's the word no. Having a 12-year-old boy, I get that a lot.
Yeah, I have some experience with that working as a coach. Certain words set me off. Number 3, in life, what gets you excited? What turns you on?
I think music gets me excited. Like when I find a new tune that you can just like vibe to, when the serotonin hits and you listen to it on replay like 50,000 times on the car to
and
get
then
sick
you can never listen to it again.
Absolutely not.
That's exactly how I listen to all my music.
Yeah, but that boost, I've just found
it's good whilst it lasts.
Yeah, then you got to find your new kick. I think I can always think of a song that would match a moment, and I love that.
Yeah, okay. So that's what turns you on, music. What turns you off?
Well, ironic that we were talking about ADHD just a little bit ago and emotional regulation that comes with that. But when someone is very emotional, like emotionally needy, like that, I just, and I appreciate everyone's in a different time of life, but if someone is pushing a lot onto me, that will be the thing that I'm like, okay, well, that's a you problem. What are you going to do about that? Just kind of, but, I think that's more probably like in the relationship side of things.
Yeah, I was guessing from the way, from the look on your face. What sound do you love?
Or when I'm camping, there's a specific spot I love to go to, Allen River. My favourite sound is like sleeping next to the waterfall with the birds and trees. Yeah, it's just a really beautiful sound. So that's probably one of I can relax to that always.
Yeah, I have a white noise machine.
Yeah.
Because I need to turn that on, and it's actually the sound of water, I think. Water, yeah, funny there. What sound do you hate?
Oh, I think you mentioned it before, like that just irritating, like beeping and scritching when we were off camera, like that sort of sound. It just hits a spot, and also chewing loudly. I think we spoke about that before.
Yeah, it's funny. I didn't realise that the way that I got so randomly angry at certain sounds was not normal. I just thought everyone would find that noise annoying, but apparently it was my brain that was just...
I think we're just honed into it more because we're a bit sensitive.
Maybe. I don't understand my brain at times. It just does its own thing.
That's fair.
Number 7, if you could have any one superpower, what would you pick and why?
I always loved invisibility because of The Incredibles, like Violet. She had
I remember that one.
Yeah, in the first one.
That one.
I think I always said that, but I just think it would be so cool. The things I would like jump in and listen on.
What job would you most like to attempt?
Ooh, I would really love to be an actor. I know it would be a hard job, but I just think it would be so cool. Also, I love to talk and I'm a bit dramatic.
Is that why you made me do that TikTok?
But it's so good. Everyone's going to love it.
I'm going to report that TikTok when you put it up and
Stop
get it taken down.
When it takes off, he'll be singing a different tune.
Oh, God. All your credibility gone in 30 seconds.
Not
Thank
even.
You for that.
That is the most iconic. And with Princess Diaries 3 coming out, they will throw over it.
famous for that. All right, number 9. What job would you definitely not like to attempt?
Oh, there's a few. I don't think I would want to be like a garbage truck pickup person. I don't know why, but they come across my house like every week, and I just think that would be a very mundane job.
I mean, I can't really see you in this getup. It's not really suitable garbage.
I know, but would be like everyone would be like, "What? That's your job?" Yeah. No.
Oh,
but also, I heard they make lots of money, so I don't know.
I mean, I've done hundreds of these interviews. I don't think I've ever met a pageant girl who's done garbage pickup.
Well,
that would be quite a story.
I did it for Clean Up Australia.
Oh yeah,
and that sort of stuff. But I just think,
hanging off the back of a truck.
I just think there would be some pretty disturbing stuff. Like, I mean, I get like they put it into the truck, but if they then had to go back, I don't know, and do stuff at the dump.
Yeah, let's not think about this one too much.
Yeah.
Final question: if heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
I think that I did a good job. Like he was proud of me. I think, like we talked about before, there's many times in life that gets quite tricky and hard, and I think I would like him to say that I handled situations with like dignity and grace, and so the good job and the pat on the back would be super, super great.
Perfect. All right. Well, Krysta, that is round number I don't know what. But
like 4 or 5.
It's been a bit of a ride, hasn't it?
It has.
The crown. You finally got that.
Yeah, so, I kind of like that you're my first interview, and then like my first as the queen. I think that's super cool. And if I'm your last, I feel like that's super cool too.
It's probably a good way to actually end, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I probably should stop now. Finish on a high.
Yeah, I mean, like, are you gonna get better than me? No, just kidding.
Oh, I'm not going to get in person again. That's for sure. I can't do in person if I'm interviewing someone in Venezuela. So.
It does become a bit tricky. Yes.
Yeah. Well, nice to see you again. So happy to see you finally got your big win, and best of luck over in Poland.
Thank you.
Next year.
Yes, very exciting.
If people want to get in touch with you, Instagram.
Yes, Krysta.summer.
And TikTok, but don't look at the TikTok.
It's the same.
Don't look at the TikTok.
Same, and look at it. It's gonna be fab. Everyone needs to share it out.
It would have been taken down because I would have reported
everyone
it.
Has to reshare it just to show him that it's like a vibe.
Okay, and thank you to Sam as well hosting us. We're in Corso.
Yes.
It's Corso Creative, right? Yeah, Corso in Manly, in Australia. If you're wondering why we have strange accents, it's because we're Australian. But that's another story.
Yes.
So thank you, Krysta, and thanks to everyone for watching or listening. And I'll speak to you again sometime, but might not be in an interview. So
no.
See you next time.
Bye.